There are a lot of books that don't have a value to read. For doing that, such a exacting operation. The content of book has to have a tantamounting quality to do so. For that, stupid one reads tens of thousands of books, but more smarter one reads 5,000, half of it count of books, but more smarter one reads only 2,000 count of books, but the more wiser, smarter one only reads 10, no, 1,000 books, but more and more it reads only 500 books, not 10,000 books, but 500 books. It is not the count of books, since a lot of it, almost all of which, do not have a value too. So, as seeking for the right fruit, right company to invest in, right car to buy, right operation to execute, right product to buy full. On the book, the same rule applies on that. For that, it is not the hour and the count of letter the one have read, but it is the quality of it for only reading and thinking about and on the one that has a real value to do. 자, 가장 큰 무지의 슬픔은 그 엄청난 단점은 자기가 어떤 정보를 모르고 있는데도 불구하고 그 기발하고 훌륭한 거대한 지식이 자기가 모르는 그것들이 존재한다는 사실을 모른다는 거야. 무엇을 학습해야 하지만 자기가 모르는 것이 구체적으로 어떤 것인지 몰라서 그 지식이 가지는 가치에 엄청나게 작은 부분조차도 아무것도 모르는 거지. 미지의, 지식의 존재를 모르는 거야. 제가 모른다는 사실을 모르는 것은 가장 큰 병신성이지. 왜? 얼마나 모르는지, 얼마나 멍청한지 모르니까 학습할 게 뭐가 있는지 모르는 거야. 자기가 뭘 안다고 착각하지. 언제나 1,000개의 책을 읽으면 자기가 읽어야 할 책이 10,000개라는 사실을 알게 되지만 100개의 책을 읽으면 자기가 읽어야 할 책이 1,000개라는 사실 그거라밖에 생각을 못해. 자기가 알고 있는 게 적고, 따라서 알고 있는 게 적기 때문에 모르고 있는 게 적지. 알고 있는 게 많으면 모르는 건 더 많아져. 그게 논리야. 어쩔 수가 없어. 그걸로 청지할 수 있는 지식이 아는 것보다 모르는 게 훨씬 더 많으니까. 아직 탐구한 것보다 탐구하지 않은 게, 탐구한 게 많으면 훨씬 더 많아지니까. 결국 가장 큰 무지는 자기가 무엇을 모르는지 조금의 구체성도 가지고 있지 않아서 결국 자기가 무엇을 모르는지를, 어떤 것을 모르는지를 모르기 때문에 그 잠재적인 지식이 가지고 있는 거대한 가치를 죽기 직전까지도, 그리고 죽어서도 모르는 거야. For what we call nature has, from its real testament, made the statement, nothing is impossible, meaning anything is possible, from the creation of nothing to the fucking human that is standing right now, to the deep dive ocean creatures and flying boys. Okay, nature has demonstrated that nothing is impossible, and what the one that defines something impossible is the one's ignorance. Only the one and only ignorance defines for what is impossible, because it does not know that something is possible. Okay, Ollie, bloody hell. So, for what once was imagined to be nearly impossible to make, is blatantly expressing its existence of impossible. Yeah, it really shows that nothing is impossible. 3D, what? Fucking seemingly where impossible was made by what? Fucking bloody eternal simulations. Executions count surpasses the any other boys with nature. Surpasses all. For a lot of simulations, it makes the impossible possible. Now you really have to record all knowledges. We do not at this time have any specific knowledge that has to be stored, but on the core knowledge for how the knowledge is made and why it's made. But from those all specific knowledges, the reason for why we cannot just tear it up and just read it up and discard it down, because it contains a lot of specific instructions for its very certain knowledges, that it has to be stored in some ways, but having a paper with that form, like a dictionary, it cannot be easily searched when it has to be, because for that thousands of pages of dictionaries, the one cannot find a certain word under 1 second. But the computer for that electrical calculator can do so with that, by that intrinsic logic for its machine. That binary machine goes all over top of the paper. So that is what there is a form for what form we do record all knowledges. That is what the form we do record. All grammars, words are recorded on that as that, so all of those are. As long as the system has a purpose, whatever and whichever and however the stimulations, attacks, and assaults are inflicted and assailed upon the network, it really arises being more fortified from it. Because learning from, analyzing it, unless it doesn't die, as long as it leaves from that and have a chance to do so, it really arises because enduring, persevering for that specific and all inflictions is not its purpose, but its purpose is neither also solving it, because its purpose is none of which but advancing. Its purpose is advancing its learning, meaning during which procedure any and all stimulations that hinders or advances do arise, it really has to solve, because it just is another kind of experiment which has to be solved because its purpose lies ahead. It just is another kind of matter to solve. The logic of code is, so is the knowledge that is a network which uses a and that the code. Okay, the advance the logic The code's advancement of logic makes the understanding. So it does, as it does so. The advanced the logic of code is, so is the network that uses that very code to analyze, connect. Just see, recursive. Okay. Advanced code, advanced logic of code. When the network uses that advanced logic for that set of code, it advances its network for fortifying the connection, diversifying the connection, making more quantum connections. Code and knowledge, code and network is just the same thing. Okay. Advance, same thing. Now, you do make simulations. They create the knowledge. You do see a lot of movies and series because, well, its essence is just a variety of simulations, including some rather common denominator as a core root and having it spread out the ramifications of different cases on each of which it makes for different situations to solve. You do see a lot of series and movies for those are just a simulations. Well, because you do not know the map, the network of knowledge for what, with what, and by what informations are constituted for those structure. From that, if you do know, you can make the dots to connect to create simulations, which is all the orientation for what the knowledge can be made from that known information. There are a lot of ways to execute some same mission successfully, but of all those combinations, make the best, accurate way to go. These are just an example. Now, all medicines are under the biology, and for making the biology is under also a chemistry, whether it being a molecular or cellular biology or biochemist. Oh, those are all same but different fucking name. On which part do they focus makes the differentiation of those name. But nearly 20 years ago, biochemists found that a separable constituent of deoxyribonucleic acid, or shortage as DNA for its acronym, appeared to guide the cell's protein synthesizing machinery. Internal structure of DNA seemed to represent a set of coded instructions which dictated the pattern of protein synthesis. Experiments indicated that in the presence of appropriate enzymes, each DNA molecule could form a replica. Appropriate enzymes, each DNA molecule could form a replica, a new DNA molecule containing the specific guiding message present in the original. This idea added to what was already known about the cellular mechanisms of heredity. Proponents of DNA theory was DNA was a self-duplicating molecule containing a coded by self-determined biological inheritance. Did also in order to describe the principles they could explain James' governing rule. The accurate, exact machine requires any and all of certain operation only one time, because as long as its logic of operating, logic of analyzing is accurate. It has no need to do in other cases with the independent execution, since its logic for execution is accurate as long as it is, as far as it's concerned. When to do that, you just copy it and repetitively do it, executed by the preset protocol. Well, when a monkey does make a scissoring to cut a paper, every scissoring, even having a same hand and even same scissor, its direction for having a scissor, making a scissor on the cutting paper really is different for each and every all other cases. But when the execution of machine is accurate, its processing is by the logic just stored and repetitively executed whenever it is required to do so. Whenever it is required to do so, fucking repetitively do that. Because it is the essence. In professional sports these days, it is not unusual to hear players and coaches talking about process. They talk about focusing on the process and following the process. Follow the logic that is required to execute that operation, objective mission, to accurately process, to accurately, more objectively compute, proceed. Rarely do they talk about any results and superficial ones, although having a good shot is another process. Yes, it is another kind of process. It's all about process. So what do they mean by this? I mean focusing on the process. They focus on the actions of the structure of steps that are required to do the proposed mission successfully. They need to take in order to achieve their desired targeted result. On that mission targeted result, to acquire what logics of steps, what processes of the structure are needed to execute on that inaccurate, inobjective. Reasoning here is that if you follow the steps required, the result will, it's about, for all the inventions accrued from the experiences, the data that are in the accumulation, it had made for its purpose, functioning as having a stability on its structure when in operation comes in. So the learning for sources, for new knowledges, for building such more advanced and stable structures, those advanced networks are sourced from the trials, experiences from such environments too. So such things as humans are, not a biomimicry we're talking about. Gadgets, any contraptions, any machines that are used, the operation is learned from the trials. Errors can be found when it is executed and produce an error. It has a reason to. Thorough experiences, development can be made. Be that is the very source creating such voice. By its absolute process of learning, some of the greatest scientific creative thoughts in the last 100 years didn't occur in lecture theater seminar with top scientists. Because it is a creative thought which requires an environment that has that features as that, such features as that. One such thought arose in the relaxed,
curious, open, and questioning mind of a teenager. Einstein's greatest moment of genius occurred to him when he was 16 years old, strolling along and dreaming about how it would feel like to ride on a beam of light, which led his famous theory of relativity. Now, the inventor George de Maistre also embodied the mindful attitude of curiosity. He was walking his dog on a beautiful summer's day in Switzerland and returned home to find birds stuck to his dog in his own trousers. With his burning curiosity, he examined the birds under a microscope to discover that they were covered in tiny hooks, which allowed them to grab onto clothes and fur that brushed them in passing. In the moment, he had an idea of inventing Velcro, a zipperless zipper. When all things being equal, we generally, monkeys, no different from other all animals in existence around the world, resist change until the pain of making a switch becomes less the pain of remaining in current situation. This is why incompetent or even hostile employees are allowed to remain in a job for longer than they should, because managers don't want to deal with finding someone else to replace the bad apple. To break the cycle, the fear of the unknown has to just be broken. There are two ways to make this happen. One is to increase the pain of the current situation, to make a stimulation. just 이유가 뭐가 필요했냐, 그냥 하는 거지. 발전이 그런 방식을 통해서 만들어지고 발전을 해야 되는 거니까 그냥 그걸 하는 거야. 이게 어렵냐. 목적이 분명하지 않은 것이 눈에 띄면서 그 분명하지 않은 것들은 중요하지 않은 걸로 쉽게 할 수 있지. 목적이 분명하면 돼. The Collins English to French Dictionary. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, or otherwise, without the prior permission of the publisher. This book is sold subject to the conditions that it shall not, by way of trade or otherwise, be lent, resold, hired out, or otherwise circulated without the publisher's prior consent in any form of binding or cover other than that in which it is published, and without a similar condition, including this condition, being imposed on the subsequent purchaser. Entered words that we have reason to believe constitute trademarks have been designated as such. However, neither the presence nor absence of such designation should be regarded as affecting the legal status of any trademark. Now, from valuable, great quality of books, the selection of those are having the most importance of the learning process. Anyone can read, but reading or writing, they're having a greatest value, the greatest value. Having those that are having the greatest quality is having a worth to read for. So, So what we're seeking is the world of, as there's a retail, secondhand book retailer, a wholesaler, world of books in England, like we are seeing, scouring, searching for the world of not just informations, but world of valuable informations. We are seeking for the world of valuable informations. Okay? Valuable informations. V, unvaluable, having it capitalized, reflecting its importance. We're seeking for the valuable informations too. Conflict involves incompatible activities. People are in conflict when the actions of one person are interfering, obstructing, or in some other way making another's behavior less effective. Team members arguing for different positions gets in the way. Team members arguing for different positions gets in the way, at least temporarily, after making a decision. Asking a question during a speech frustrates the presenter's attempts to present his or her findings. What is crucial about defining conflict as incompatible activities is that it does not equate action with goals. A confusion often made in the writing and practice of conflict management. Team members argue for different solutions to problems and means to reach the goal of the best solution possible. To reach the goal of the best solution possible. Just because people's actions are incompatible does not mean that their desired ended states are. Their goals and aspirations can still be compatible. They can still get where they want to go. Team members arguing different positions both want a solution that will make their team successful, but make contrasting proposals of how to accomplish this compatible goal. The person interrupting and the president may still have the compatible goal of understanding the material accurately, but just accessing method, the manner to going the way to accomplish the things is very differentiated from each other's perspective, having an originality by their own knowledge and experiences. It just differs with their proposal, but improving the end result to making the end of the result to be developed is just that all guys, all team members just having the same goal, just different methods for achieving the improvement, the development of the goals they want to. Just quite just a little bit of differentiation for proposing as to methods they would propose. Of course, sometimes conflict Uh, they have unidentical conclusions of how this goal can be accomplished. Of course, sometimes conflicts just that there are incompatible goals that make a mutual benefit unlikely or even impossible. However, this incompatibility should be discovered, not assumed in the definition of conflict. Frequently adjust our daily behaviors to ways in which we interact with each other, develop relationships, and perform our jobs based on the introduction of ever evolving technologies. And some experts argue that we have not yet adapted to an environment that is and will continue to be a moving target. The New York Times and journalist Matt Ritchell documents the gap between the pace of innovation and the pace of evolution, arguing that human beings need to learn to adapt to technology in a world that is changing way faster than we can evolve ourselves as our body. Rachel analogizes our experience with technology with the way that we confront junk food, pointing out that there's just as we have not changed at the pace that making industry has industrialized. So we don't metabolize junk food any better than we did 50 years ago. The difference, according to rituals, that we have learned that we must be careful with junk food and limit its consumption. We have not learned to adapt, manage, to address the bad effect to correctly metabolize the junk food, which is what we call, which has been developing with past 50 years, for which that during the time we simultaneously didn't develop as the pace of development for food is going on. So we don't correctly metabolize ourselves by the food, which is what we have produced ourselves, created by ourselves, which is an like a paradox that the one can't uh, adapt, assume, mobilize the technologies and the things what the one has created by themselves, by oneself, by himself, that the one can adapt with the one, the technology, with the object, the subject, which yet has been created by the one, what the one is that the one is not adapting to. It can adapt for things that by the things that the one has created by themselves. Some paradoxical irony, exposing ourselves to potential consequences emanating from the overuse thereof. The core idea of the word anti-fragile is to execute dense and diverse various simulations, stress tests. For that training is inflicted upon the network to strengthen and fortify the fucking advanced machine. Now, from that learning is the one and only source to advance that network, meaning the count of the quality and quantity of simulation really defines how fast the learning really accelerates and deepens its depth of knowledge. Yes, yes, and yes. The more count of stress test, the faster its advancement knowledge. The more count of quality and quantity of simulations, it really advances from that. Meaning, it is the only source of learning. Meaning, when its count grows, so the learning does. Meaning, yeah, do execute. Now, could you ever possibly imagine that the screen what you're seeing now is a live CCTV camera recording is forged out to be seen as putting a plastic bomb in the stair of a building, which makes a total evacuation out of a building, during which process someone will be abducted? That is a decoy, luring out, inducing out for an exact action by a forged scene, which is exactly intended to be seen and acted from what the real situation is, as putting a situation for a reversed one where it is expected to be, meaning inducing the exact reaction by that exact intention, which is exactly intended to be seen and be acted out of that as thus. By that, it is decoyed and acted by that. Johannes Kepler, the German astronomer and mathematician, did not consider Mars peripheral. If a planetary model was real, it had to explain the movements of all the planets, not just convenient ones. Studied the motion of Mars obsessively, he managed to retain some of Brahe's astronomical charts even after Brahe's death, funding of rapacious hairs for nearly a decade while he pored carefully through the borrowed data. He tried no less than 40 different models to explain the retrograde motion of Mars. The drunken doubling back of the planet would not fit. Then the answer came to him in an inspired flash. The orbits of all the planets were not circles, but ellipses around the sun. All the planets, including Mars, orbit the sun, move around the sun in concentric ellipses. Seen from the Earth, Mars moves backward in the same sense, like one train appears to pitch backward when another train goes faster, overtakes it on a parallel track. What Brahe had dismissed as an aberration was the most important piece of information needed to understand the organization of the cosmos. The exact mathematical calculation and making a lot of suppositions to explain, to fit the logic of movement for that rapacious and extreme concentration on that processing turned out was crucial to the formulation of Kepler's law. And the word truth, same as with reality,
It's just the same thing in its essence. On its essence, it is about the controllability, how it does not have any value to record any any minute. It does not have any worth because it's the same thing. It is about this ability of your understanding to calculate and operate, to set your logic. Yeah, the truth is about the advancement of knowledge. It defines what is the truth or not. As long as you do make, the computer makes a lot of logics and it operates in itself out, it is a truth and the truth because it operates well. That is what is truth or not. And conversely, that is reversed. When what is not truth, it is not truth because its logic has a failure, error, okay? Has a glitch on its operation because it is not operating, it is not truth. It's not a truth. No true. Science and math are the same thing, both of which has to be in the same area, and well, it is per se a knowledge, and except of which nothing, none of which, but that explains for what the knowledge really is. Well, that has to be, for that word has to be preceded by the word of logic. It has to be called, analyzed as a logic. And the technology from engineering to all of those applications from the basic idea, knowledge, it is just an extension of knowledge. Ever imagined, ever heard about the expanding ramifications of the branch of the tree? Yes, it is. And for the combined science, technology, mathematica, for all those engineering, it really makes and defines the knowledge. Well, no more to say. Thanks to written language, things can be remembered outside any individual's mind in an external memory, books and other written records. Those things that were memorized, stories passed on from one generation to the next in mythic culture, written in books in theoretic culture. Once things are written, they can be analyzed, criticized, and verified in ways impossible with orally transmitted stories. Written language permits a single true version of the story, the written one, unlike myths in oral culture, where there are many versions of a story, and stories change over time. Writing also allows people in the past to talk to us as though they were contemporaries. Thus, we can read the words of Aristotle, who lived over 2,000 years ago. Spoken words are not like that. You cannot catch the words of dead people in traditional mythic culture except through communication with them in the spirit world through static streams or mediums. The DNA, the deoxyribonucleic acid, not the DNA, but DNA, the and A. The DNA is about the and A matter, the most important matter. It is just a code book which has to exist on every single machine, even if it is not called DNA or other chemical similar compositions as to make a new machine. The similar mechanism has to be applied on creating a machine. So, are all questions from the superconductors and making a bloody better engine and air maneuverability and nuclear fission fusion.
also having a propeller fan, and make a new machine. It has to be made fast, fast, fast. Neither the nor the, okay, neither the presence nor the absence of trademark for any such kind of that are written in this dictionary as having a constituent for being a trademark be regarded as having any such effect on its legal status of any such trademark. Neither the presence nor the absence of a designation that any entered word in this dictionary constituting a trademark constitutes a trademark should be regarded as affecting the legal status of any trademark. Neither the presence nor the absence of any and all trademarks that are written in this dictionary as having a label of trademark as a constituent of a trademark should be regarded as affecting their legal status for any positions. That's a legal phrase, totally like an attorney, a lawyer. Sentence, okay. It is free from the defects mentioned in workmanship, subject to the conditions. Also, the conditions is pending to this statement stated herein for the shorter of. There are, here is just two conditions, but if there are 3, 4, or which number would be, but whatever it would be, or whenever it is under the period of warranty, whichever comes first, and if the one of whom of which is applied to be, okay, subject to be the inspection, okay, and if inside that date, under that period of warranty date, Samsung if determines that its product is defectable, it's dysfunctioning, they will execute, administer the followed action stated also herein. Mathematics and machine. Mathematics are a logic for its code, and machine is the real information. Mathematics and machine. Machine, it be physics, chemistry, biology, all. Engineering, technology. So, discipline are divided into one. So there's no dividing, no die, okay? Just a one. One that is analyzed by the mathematics for its logic, is preceded by the name of logic, and other, the real information corresponding to, from the logic to the real information named machine. A machine that is made from the utilization of physics, chemistry, and all applications towards the creation. Okay, I love it. So, sciences do include only and for the truth, for containing, going more application on the word and book of named Black Swan. Its essence is really to analyze the network and advance the network. The Black Swan unpredictability because of the complexity of structure is made, and can really the one in logical scenario and sometimes really experience that. It experiences that because there is no knowledge of any analyzation on that surrounding network, even though it is engaging in participating in the networks surrounding it, hasn't yet been analyzed. Do analyze it and advance, revise, ameliorate, develop network from reconstructing to the objective purpose. That is how the learning is made, with different words, but same and only essence. Well, could you ever imagine that the screen what you're seeing now has a CCTV camera. For that live recording is forged to be seen as putting a plastic bomb on the stair of a building that makes a lot of all those contents inside the building are evacuated out during the process, and right after that, someone will be abducted. Now, could you ever possibly imagine that what you're seeing now is a screen, is live recorded CCTV is forged to be seen as otherwise, which is an exact intention to be seen and to be acted as followed by that. It is the exact intention to be seen as otherwise, react as exactly intended to be from what is being seen. Higher food production markets for products of all sorts and incentives for inventors' great ability to communicate ideas and the scientific method all combine to fuel more and more rapid innovation. Ideas built on ideas, often in surprising ways. Lens making for eyeglasses let craftsmen work decades longer even after their eyesight faltered. It also gave birth to telescopes. When early inventors discovered that lenses could be placed in front of other lenses to make distant objects appear near. The telescope then gave birth to the microscope. The microscope uncovered the world of microorganisms too small for the eye to see. The discovery of microorganisms and the ability to look for them on food and water and samples taken from the body led to the germ theory of disease that in turn led to modern medicine, long lives.
원숭이가 자기의 몸이 어떻게 작동하는지 모르고 말은 하지만 그것이 어떤 근거에 의해서 만들어진지 모르며 뭐라고 어떤 것들은 하지만 그 어떤 것도 사실이 아니고 뭘 안다고 생각하지만 그 어떤 것도 실제로 지식은 아니면서 자기가 뭘 한다고 생각하지만 그 중에 어떤 것도 가치가 없고 자기가 무엇을 지금까지 경험해왔지만 실제로 경험한 게 무엇인지 구체적으로 말할 수 있는 건 정말 없으며 10만 개를 경험해도 그 중에 한두 개밖에 말하지 못하고 원숭이는 자기가 걸어다닐 수 있다고 생각하지만 실제로 어떻게 걸어다니는지도 모르고 무엇을 알고 응용을 하고 상상을 하고 문제를 풀지만 실제로 어떻게 되는지 아무것도 모르면서 정보가 어디 있는지도 모르고 어떻게 저장했는지 모를 뿐만 아니라 그 구분이 어떻게 되는지도 모르고 어떻게 연결이 되어서 그 정보 이동과 구획과 처리의 그 과정이 공장의 생산처럼 어떻게 되는지도 모르면서 결국 그 무지에 따라서 자기는 살지만 왜 사는지도 모르고 어떻게 사는지도 모르고 목적이 뭔지도 모르고 기능 하나 뭔지 몰라서 그냥 노예라고 하지. 결국 그 병신성에 따라서 원숭이는 자기가 하는 모든 것의 원인과 목적 둘 다를 모르고 그 기능에 대한 이유도 몰라. 그러니까 어떤 기준에서도 그 무엇 하나 제대로 이해하는 것이 하나도 없어. 결국 그래서 원숭이는 자기가 시간을 보내지만 그 시간에서 자기가 정확하게 어떤 시간에서 그 동안에 어떤 것을 한지 그 근거가 무엇이고 앞으로 할 목적이 무엇인지 그 어떤 것도 생각하지 못하지. 원숭이는 시간을 보내지만 자기가 시간을 보내고 있다는 사실을 인식하지 못해. 그래서 그 병신성에 따라서 자기가 지금 보내고 있는 시간이 더 이상 절대로 되돌이킬 수 없는 하나의 과거로 남고 제가 지금 이 순간에 말하고 행동하고 있는 그 보내고 있는 그 시간에 보내는 것들이 되돌릴 수 없는 돌이킬 수 없는 과거가 되어서 얼마나 중요한지조차 몰라. 그리고 원숭이는 죽은 다음에도 모르지. 항상 어떤 원숭이가 죽기 직전에야 됐을 때 자기의 모든 과거의 삶을 생각하고 모든 것들을 돌아보면서 그 객관적으로 자기가 하는 모든 지식하의 그 정당성을 평가하게 돼. 당연히 원숭이는 그러지 않지. 그렇게 되면서 자기의 인생 중에서 어떤 것이 가치가 있었는지 결국 죽을 때까지 가장 가치 있어서 죽을 때까지 갖고 가야 할 가장 중요한 것이 무엇인지를 항상 질문하지. 죽을 때는 항상 그 생각할 수밖에 없어. 무엇을 위해서 살았는가? For what did I live For what did I live? And for what the fucking purpose have I spent all those fucking years and tremendous strives and resources to dedicate on what? 이 족같은 질문을 하게 되면서 자기 인생에 대해서 처음으로 생각해 보면서 몇 분 뒤에 죽게 되지. 평가할 수 있는, 제대로 평가하고 생각할 수 있는 그 기회가 한 번도 없는 거야. 왜냐하면 어제도 너는 지랄을 했거든. 그래서 한 번도 정확하게 생각할 수 있는 기회를 가지지 못했지. 왜? 생각을 한 적이 한 번도 없으니까. 결국 자기가 보내고 있는 그 어떤 on any fucking given moment of its entire procedure of life, it doesn't realize the value of the time it is spent in each and every fucking moment of its fucking life. 어느 한 시간대에서 그 친구가 보내고 있는 어떤 경험, 어떤 작동, 어떤 모든 그 경험이 얼마나 가치 있는지, 그리고 그것이 미래에서 그것을 되돌릴 수 없다. 되돌릴 수 없다. 다시 복구할 수 없다. 그것은 단순히 과거로만 남을 뿐이라는 그 가장 가치 있는 사실. 네가 지금 이 순간에 존재하면서 무엇을 할 때가 돌이킬 수 없어서 그것을 가장 소중하게 생각해야 한다는 그 생각이 아니라 그 객관적인 사실을 깨닫지를 못하지. 원숭이를 죽어서도 깨닫지 못해. 평생 동안 깨닫지 못하고 그 무지는 계속 이러면서 나가면서 원숭이는 역사에서 배우지 못하고 발전을 못하지. 원숭이가 자기를 원숭이라고 생각하지 못해서 그래서 원숭이고, 원숭이가 아닌 친구는 자기가 원숭이라는 걸 알기 때문에 조금 더 낫다. 원숭이가 원숭이인 이유는 자기가 원숭이라고 생각하지 않기 때문이다가 아니라 그냥 객관적으로 원숭이야. 너의 무지가 드러나 있잖아. 사실은 사실이고 하는 건 하는 거고, 활용할 수 있으면 활용할 수 있는 거고, 장난치지 말고 이상한 소리 하지 못하고. Now, I mean right now, as I'm speaking of, as of now, I'm serving the snow that is falling onto the ground. With no probable cause, which happens often, but on the crime made by monkey, it is unidirectional. Not as sporadic, but unidirectional. It is not cataclysm, it's a catastrophe. Monkey has to be as soon as eliminated. As soon as possible. And always, at all times, the question for what are not to select is the most importance, because there are plenty full of shits. Those must not be selected. Compared to those, answers are having very few count, on which focus is dedicated in extreme, eliminating and pruning down for the ones that are not having the value to. For what the one does not see, hear, nor having any sense of ignorance. Conflict involves incompatible activities. People are in conflict when the actions of one person are interfering, obstructing, or in some other way making another's behavior less effective. Team members arguing for different positions gets in the way, at least temporarily, after making a decision.
Asking a question during a speech frustrates the presenter's attempts to present his or her findings. Team members arguing for different positions gets in the way, at least temporarily, after making a decision. What is crucial about defining conflict as incompatible activities that it does not equate action with goals. A confusion often made in the writing and practice of conflict management. Team members argue for different solutions to problems as a means to reach the goal of the best solution possible. Just because people's actions are incompatible does not mean that their and the desired states are. There just because people's actions are incompatible does not mean that their desired end states are. Their goals and aspirations can still be compatible. They can still get where they want to go. Team members arguing different positions, but they want solution that will make their team successful, make contrasting proposals of how to accomplish this compatible goal. The person interrupting and the presenter may still have the compatible goal of understanding the material accurately. They have unidentical conclusions of how this goal can be accomplished. Of course, sometimes conflicts such that there are incompatible goals that make the mutual benefit unlikely or even impossible. However, the incompatibility should be discovered, not assumed in the definition of conflict.
Now the meticulous or gigantic structure that are found on all objects made by the name of nature. Nature has, through the eternal accumulation of simulations from those learning of executions, has a reason to develop such structures that are seen in nature. For fractals making equilibrium, nature has a need to develop for such forms that is seen, recognized as having particular structure because it has a stability on its operation, on its purpose of operation, because it has a reason to develop such bodies. With whatever embellishing and decorating words to enumerate, ornate around the core idea of knowledge for logic 2, for the advancement of machine is always to be made on each and every step to go better than the past is not needed. With or without that fucking reasons, the purpose is sound and clear. For its loudness, for its subjectivity, accurate reason for us to be made, only for the single existence is what only needed, and based on that, you just proceed. Make an imagination for the full utilization of all available resources to make the impossible unimaginable ones for once have been considered as not only impossible but simply unimaginable, because no one ever had connected on such diverse and dense networks forever done. So it is an imagination for creating what once simply didn't exist. Well, a lot of problems can be solved as with and by some small count of important logics. All those simulations can be explained by core idea.
Our ability to check about things that are painful or forbidden is available as to handle insanity in the mad world. We tell jokes because human existence is an unforgiving slog. We tell them in the face of overwhelming odds and despite the ravages of time and fate, notwithstanding the fact that our natural good humor may be soured by the blows life deigns us. We joke and laugh all the more. Wherever human beings are oppressed by a corrupt government, poverty, or merely the specter of disease and death, jokes thriving. In these circumstances, the fundamental human insistence on laughing, despite all, makes a joke a noble thing. According to U.S. stand-up comic Albert Brooks, when the time comes where their literacy and ability to extract laughs from subject literally is the underworld. People with horrible diseases make jokes till the end. It's like the armor against being completely eaten and gone from the planet.
Now, this is bloody important recording. It is about the book named Spark of Genius, but read in Korean by the title of A Creation of Thinking, The Origin of Thinking, 생각의 탄생, 다빈치에서 파인만까지 창조성을 빛낸 사람들의 13가지 생각도. Well, that is the name. Written in 1999, Robert Rubenstein is the author. And
nowadays, travelers who want a visual record of their vacations pack a camera. But before 1900, when George Eastman first introduced the Brownie camera, travelers recorded their impressions of the places they visited in a notebook with ink, pencils, or watercolors. Think of Charles Darwin, who might not have come up with his theory of evolution if it had not been for the thousands of sketches he made up of his trip to the Galapagos Islands. The advantage is that sketchbook travelers deeply see the places they visit. They are forced to look with different eyes. Let's take the famous lone cypress tree overlooking Pebble Beach near Carmel, California as an example. Today's camera-carrying tourists generally think, oh, that's pretty, and proceed to snap a quick digital Photoshop. But a travel sketcher would take the time to notice its trunk's subtle shading, its lengthening shadow, the yelping panic is that just ran circles around it. Leonardo da Vinci had a keen interest in reality and the wonders of nature as a broad and dynamic whole. The subject matter of his inspired paintings was almost more wondrous than reality. Da Vinci was also deeply curious about the small details that might be able to explain the human perceived wonders that he painted. This can be readily seen both in his drawings of anatomical structures in biology and his refined representations of mechanical structures in physics. He published amazingly detailed drawings of human anatomy, or, as one biographer noted, he paid attention to the forms of even very small organs and hidden parts of the skeleton. Da Vinci is even credited with being the first in the modern world to introduce the idea of controlled experimentation, the core concept of science, and for this, he has been considered by some writers to be the father of science. Probably more than any other scholastic luminary of the time, he recognized the relationship between the whole and its parts, and expressed physical realities in his own abstract ways.
you ruminate, ponderate pensively on the organizing the knowledge for its process, the basic analyzation. For that, you can distribute the process for each of those steps that are required to successfully, by that accurate logic, process that execution. The proposed operation is successfully executed by that exact logic that are required to do the process to successfully achieve the mission. Read more books, then you will have an answer. Read more books than that, you'll have more answer then. Ask more question, then you will have more answers. Ask more question, then you will have more better better quality of sources, more sources also. Ask more question, read more books, then you'll have better and more answers. Quality and quantity of informations make the knowledge advanced. And read more books, ask more questions, and have more simulations. Do it. Connect more, think more,